Hello. Today, we're going to work with IT data analytics, and we're going to learn how to create a custom log file data collector. This is a data collector for a kind of non-standard log that might be in your environment that you want to investigate. So let's get started. As you can see, I've logged into IT data analytics with an administrative credential. I'm going to click on the administration tab, which is where we do data collectors, and you can see that we've landed at the data collectors tab by default. To get started, we're going to go ahead and click add data collector. And in this particular case, the first thing you want to do is select what you're trying to do. And in this case, my custom log file exists on a server other than my IT data analytics server. So I'm going to select monitor file over Windows share. Because in this particular case, I'm going to be looking at one of the underlying log files that's available on a TrueSight infrastructure management server. It's hosted on Windows. So I'm going to put TS INF PW MS log file. And that's not a log file that people typically look at. So I want to take a look at that and see what's going on and keep an eye on that file. So my target host, I've already set that up for other collectors that I have. So I am going to be looking at the TS10 INF server in my environment. I'm going to use the default collection station because I only have one in my environment. I'm going to provide a credential, and I'm going to use the local patrol account to do this. You could also use a stored credential if you have that set up. All right. I can add that domain if I want to. See, I have the option of adding this to my stored credentials if I want to. And my directory path, I've already set up a share, and it is ts10inf/pw. And I know that the additional information is found here in pronto/logs. So we're going to be looking in pronto/logs. And it might require a little trial and error to get some of this exactly right. In this particular case, we're going to be looking at the bppm ws file. So I'm going to move that back out of the way. So I've kept that window open for reference. And as you can see here, we can use a variety of syntax to collect one log file or multiple instances of a log file, or if a log file is a rolling log file and the name changes, you can use the various syntax to make sure you get the correct file. But in our case, and here I've gone in bppm.ws, and I believe that's .log, and we're going to use the standard time zone for the file. Now, right here, what we can do, if we do auto detect, that will allow us to check that we've got our credential correct, our path correct, and our log file name correct. If we have any errors in our setup in this area, when we hit auto detect, what will happen is we'll get an error that connectivity cannot be done. But in this case, we did everything correctly, and we were able to get to the log file. And you can see that in this particular case, because I picked a TrueSight log file, ITDA is very powerful and has a host of things predefined. Log files associated with TrueSight are one of those things. So it very quickly identified that I'm looking at one of the log files related to TrueSight. I happen to know in this particular case that it's the web services log that we're looking at rather than the cell service or the DB log. So we can hit that and we can see that it's absolutely correct. It's reading the date and timestamps, it's finding the different entries, and I can go ahead and hit apply pattern. So now we have that information is set. We can indicate our poll interval. We can change that if we wish. And again, one of the important things to do when creating data collectors is to make sure that you include tags. The tags are very useful when you start to do your searches and make use of the saved searches in the solution. And I have some criteria already set up from other data collectors that I did. And so I'm just simply selecting those. I'm adding them to the data collector by hitting the plus button at the end of the row. This is the application tier. So by hitting this green plus button, that is adding an additional tag here. I'm going to select all groups because I want everyone to be able to see this. And I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And then right away, we're going to get a notification back to let us know whether the data collection creation was successful. And we can go ahead and close that dialog. And you can see we get a white status indicating that the data collector is newly created. And in a little while, that status will update to green, hopefully, like some of the other data collectors that I have here. The other possibilities are that it could turn yellow or red if there was some kind of problem, if we couldn't get to the log file, if there was connectivity trouble, any number of things that might come up. We'll get a status in this window indicating what's going on. I can also use the refresh collector list, which will refresh it, and eventually it'll turn green. And as you can see with the refresh, we now have our BPPM Pronto log that we're interested in set up and successfully collecting data. That's all there is to it. Thank you for watching.